Hello everybody! Yes, well, not many tutorials recently. I've been waiting for 4.8 to come along and it's still not coming. So I thought I'd do a quick preview and sort of go over some stuff that I've been playing with, just to give you an idea of where we're going to head with the next set of tutorials. So before we start, I just want to show you this bit. If you go to the gameplay debugger, this is 4.7.5. Make sure you turn on perception and behavior tree. So basically, where are we? Editor preferences, gameplay debugger, perception. Now it's the perception stuff I want to show you today. So what is the perception stuff? Well, normally with our AI, we've been using this pawn sensing component, and that's actually being replaced soonish, as soon as Mishka finishes it up. So it should be in 4.8. And let's just have a look at... I'm just trying to remember which pawn I was using. Oh, it's that guy here. So, on my controller, where would I have had the pawn sensing component, I now have this thing called an AI perception component. And the AI perception component allows you to get perception events through this perception updated value, this event. And what this means is that the perception is going to be a lot more configurable in future releases. Now, I don't want to take you through a full tutorial just yet because the system's changing a little bit and there's some parts missing. But just look at this. I can... the two systems that work and will be working in 4.8 are sight sense and hearing. So you'll be able to see and hear things with your AI, which is obviously quite useful. But it also allows you to configure each sense individually. If you want to play with these things, it's well worth doing. Just make sure, back to the perception component, make sure that you switch on all of these things, because the detection's still a little bit buggy. So what can you do with the senses? Well, here's the current issue, right? So you can, every update you're going to get a bunch of an array of updated senses, an update of your perceptions, and we'll get one of those and we can break it into a perception blueprint info. Now in this case I'm just streaming that straight into a perception, rather a Blackboard variable through this. But you'll be able to break that apart and get things like how long since you perceived this thing, how long it's got until it's expired, how much strength you want. I'm not sure those values are filled in yet. Where it was sensed from, where was it sensed as in the source of it, and who sensed it, that kind of thing. Now the problem is that currently this AI stimulus information doesn't have whether you still sense it, which is a bit of a problem because we need to be able to forget things, and it also doesn't tell you what type of stimulus it was. So Mishka's adding that, I believe. We'll be able to get the things like whether it was a hostile thing that we sensed and that kind of thing. But basically this is replacing that whole pawn sensing component thing. Now if you want to play with it, the traditional stuff is here, sight radius and those kind of things, but you can actually tune them in each individual sense. Now the idea for a lot of this is that eventually you'll be able to create your own types of senses, like mine was whether a social event had happened or something like that, or somebody had punched somebody in the face, and that's a special event. So we perceive these things in the AI controller. How do we actually generate them? Well, let's just say I want my character to be able to make them do something. What you need to do is you need to register as a stimuli source for AI perception. So basically, what I'm doing here is on begin play, I'm saying myself, I am a source for sight, the sight perception of agents. And what that means is, one second. What that means is that, what that means is that essentially you can register things to be perceived. So you'll register an actor and it will be perceived by your agents, which is kind of cool, right? So I've got a whole bunch of things on this guy. I'm also checking whether he's being suppressed by my suppression system. But I'm really looking forward to getting this stuff working. These are just civilian guys that are going to stand around in my game, which is a sort of SWAT 4 kind of game. And you'll be able to, well, right now you can kind of tell them to put their hands up, but I'm still working, well, I'm not going to work on this until the AI stimulus is sorted out, because it doesn't feel right to do it that way. Because I want to be able to forget, I want to be able to forget that I've been startled. So there's a startle reaction on this character. Let's see, I've got my behavior tree for him. Clicked on completely the wrong blueprint there. There we go. Actually I've taken that out, haven't I? I was doing it in his controller, if I remember rightly. Somewhere in here. Yeah, I mean, I'm just passing that threat perceived in. You can request an update to the stimuli senses, but I don't need to do that. All I'm doing is basically down in the perception system here, if I perceive there's a threat, which is basically any actor that I see, I set him into the blackboard, and then the blackboard itself is then used to say if this threat is set. There, we just rotate to face it right now. So it doesn't really do an awful lot yet, but yeah, so if this guy gets suppressed, I'm setting a thing called startle. So what is it called? Has been startled. So if I go to my blackboard and say has been startled, now it's kind of weird really, because obviously you want your AI to do, let's go back to the behavior tree. Yeah, you want your AI to do a lot of the responses, right? But the problem is that the AI, it only runs on the server. So if you do your changes here, it doesn't necessarily mean that the clients will see them in a multiplayer game. So I've kind of circumvented some of this right now, and I'm actually doing a lot of the messing around with this suppression thing by just getting the suppression value actually and doing it in the animation controller. So let's just have a quick look at that guy. Is he in here somewhere? He's not. He was somewhere. Let's just go through this viewport. I'm trying to remember. It's on the mesh, isn't it? And then we go to select that. I did some animations for this guy as well. Essentially, I'm just feeding in the event graph here through the shooter character. I'm getting my suppression value and doing a switch basically to say yes, you have been scared. So basically, the variable I've got sorted for suppression is just being fed directly into the animation state machine right now. That's not the way to do it, obviously, but I just wanted something to test with. So when he gets suppressed, his hands go up. He gets scared, that kind of thing. So let's just show you this. So here's the other thing I wanted to show you. Hopefully the sound's off this time. And it's not. Fantastic. Anyway, let's just move that. 1 second, I'll move this screen over. You won't be able to see the text change with these guys, but what was that? Yeah, the sound's kind of a bit mad. What was that? What was that? So you could just sort of what was that? See them being a bit suppressed. What was that? Which is, you know, kind of silly, really. So eventually I'll be able to come up to them, press a key and tell them to get down on the ground, and then handcuff them, and they'll be handcuffed civilians. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to show you. This. So if you press the quote key, which is the one just next to the enter key on my keyboard, the one under the @ symbol, you can actually see debug info for your AI. But not only that, but if you trying to remember how to do it, let's just switch off that. Go to show developer gameplay debug, I think it is. If you, let's just run it in simulation right now. So what we can do, you know, I've forgotten how to do it. What we can do, right now it's quiet. So hopefully, if I just, what you'll see is this. Which is great stuff, right? So basically this green circle is the inner radius of his perception. The pink circle is the outer radius of when he loses sight of something. The green ball is just a sort of endpoint for what he's sensing right now. So if I come in here, I should have a green ball somewhere. We get in front of him. There we go. See my green ball. Get out of his view range. So he's got like a really fixed 45-degree view. So that's the last position that he saw me at. So there you go. Press the quote key and you'll see some of this stuff. Just remember to switch on the AI debugging perception stuff. You can switch off obviously the behavior tree and that kind of thing, because that's telling you exactly what's happening every frame. You probably don't want that. But that stuff goes out to the visual debugger as well, so it might be useful for you if you get any debug problems with your AI to do that. But we'll do a tutorial on that sometime soonish. So there you go. I wanted to show you that perception thing because it's so exciting, but it's just not quite ready yet, you know, for like prime time. I know Mishko's worked hard on it, so really props to him. And it'll be great once we get it, because we'll be able to do all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah, so we can always switch to this guy's point of view as well. So yeah, you can see that the tracking updates with me. So try it in your game. Try playing with the perception component. Maybe wait for 4.8 when that ships. We'll get some better support for things and probably should be like properly debugged and stuff. But that's it for now. Think of this as a preview and we'll do a proper tutorial next time around. So thanks for watching and I'll see you later. Better quit that way.